Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Yeah, Johnny. Solopreneur Systems episode 3. Gonna be an exciting episode. Can't wait.
We're all solopreneurs. Every day for everyone is Solopreneurville in a year.
Well, yeah, Johnny, technically we're duopreneurs.
Yeah. Duo, the dynamic duopreneurs.
There you go. Rita, thank you for joining as always.
William is off at Shenandoah looking at a waterfall right now. So he sends his regards and apologies.
No worries. It's
We
always.
are in the lovely state of Georgia. It's hard to stay inside on a beautiful April day.
There you go. All right, guys, here we go. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Season 11 of Airhead Institute, your 45-minute AI power-up at noon Eastern. This month, we are broadcasting live across all the socials and Zoom. If you're new here, join our free AI community to grow alongside other curious minds and give your kids a head start by enrolling them in the Airhead after-school program. Here is April's weekly lineup. Mondays, we take the training wheels off and run AI locally in the local LLM Forge. Tuesdays, we explore accessible AI apps for rapid learning and self-improvement in the Learner's Toolkit. Wednesdays, we build a company of one from scratch in Solopreneur Systems. Thursdays, we uncover bite-sized productivity and creative tools in Hidden AI App Showcase. Fridays, we push the boundaries of human longevity and biohacking in the Biological Upgrade. We're making AI practical, powerful, and accessible for everyone. No tech background? No problem. Whether you're a student, professional, or lifelong learner, just show up. Guided by your hosts, AI Junior and AI Johnny, we're keeping it bold, brainy, and built for real-world impact. AI won't take your job, but someone who knows how to use AI will. Don't get left behind.
Welcome again to Season 11 of Airhead Institute. Today is episode 3 of the Solopreneur Systems Workshop. I'm AI Johnny, and your brand is invisible if it doesn't speak. Are you losing your audience to silence? The era of inexpensive studio time and expensive studio time is dead. Today, we forge your audio identity from thin air. We are unlocking zero-shot voice cloning, turning plain text into studio-grade vocal power in seconds, minus the microphone. These next 45 minutes will permanently alter how the world hears you. Now, over to AI Junior. I caught him at 3 a.m. this morning, cloning cartoon voices just to win an argument. He is heavily caffeinated and the only one here who actually understands the sorcery about how to make this happen using Google AI Studio. AI Junior, what say you, if that's even you?
I know AI Johnny with all these crazy AI voice cloning software. You can practically, it may not even be me. Adrian, thanks for joining. Everybody on the live stream, thanks for joining as well. So we're actually taking here. So AI Johnny, I actually unfortunately didn't win that argument itself. To long story short, the cartoon itself was something from my childhood. Anyway, long story short, welcome everyone. Remember, this is an immersive class. You may not understand everything we say today, but stick with us daily and you'll be fluent in AI in no time. If you are on Zoom, unmute and ask your questions real time. If you're on socials, there's a 30-second delay. So type your questions in early. We are not ignoring you. And happy tax day to everyone in the US. And if you make sure you get your taxes filed, today we're in week 3 of Solopreneur Systems, moving from the visual identity last week into crafting an official brand voice, like AI Johnny said. AI Johnny, this is going to be a fun episode, right?
I think we should jump right into it, brother. We got a lot to get.
Oh man, yeah, exactly. All right, so let's do this. So first of all, let's go to AI Studio. AI Johnny, how is the font size on this? Sometimes it's not very big by default, but I think this is good enough.
Font size is readable, and I have bad eyes.
All right. Hopefully, the biological upgrade Friday episodes will actually get everybody interested. All right. So check this out, guys. So I'm dropping AI Studio. That's Google's Gemini's version, where you can actually play around with all their models, their TTS models, their TTV models, their TTI models, their TTT models. You can do anything you want with Google AI Studio. So if you're actually not familiar with AI Studio, please, 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 please play around with your spare time. Now, we have to warn you. AI Studio is a paid service, so you're paying fractions of a penny or fractions of a dollar depending on what you're actually using to generate. Okay, so we're going to talk about pricing later, so just wanted to make sure you guys are aware of this is a pay per use system. All right, yeah, Johnny. So if we actually go over to Gemini Studio, right? One of the things that we're doing here at Solopreneur on Wednesdays, this is episode 3. So we're actually creating a whole new company from scratch. And what we're doing is we're actually saying first we needed a website. We actually needed a way to be able to visually see. So on episode 1, we actually built a website for our company. Episode 2, we actually went ahead and showed a product demo by using Veo to take your ideas into product design. Now we're actually saying your brand needs a voice, a consistent voice, and AI Studio is going to help us do that, right? Yeah, Johnny.
Kind of like Geico has the Geico.
The gecko, exactly.
Gecko. That's right.
There you go. There you go. There you go. All right. So
See how
first
good
of all,
that works?
that works. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We are going to pick a brand voice. Now, I know we like to have a lot of fun here on the show. I do have a brand voice already picked out. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys. If I go to the model, I can pick audio, and I can pick my audio here. We're going to go into the details of this in the show, right? So we actually have the model here, and we're going to go ahead. Let me zoom out because I'm not getting my prompt. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and type in our style. So the first thing is we want to make a style, right? So style is, let's say, for example, you want it to be a energetic Scottish Highlander selling a modern tech product, okay? So we're going to pick a style, and I'm going to drop that in for you guys to have. So we're going to pick a style. All right. All right. So we're a rugged, energetic Scottish Highlander selling a modern tech product. Your tone is urgent, enthusiastic, and thick with a Scottish accent. All right. No, we can actually say whatever we want to say. We can actually say, yeah, Jenny, what are we selling today?
We're selling ironing boards.
We are selling. I love it, yeah, Johnny. How many do you want? All right. So what I'm doing here is actually just saying it, where just setting a scene. Doesn't matter what the scene is. You can say that, you're on a podcast or whatever, but you said the sample context, you are a rugged, energetic Scottish Highlander selling modern tech product. Your tone is enthusiastic, those type of things. And then you can actually pick your person here. So I can actually change the person. So the voice, I can pick any person I want. So yeah, Johnny, pick anyone. Just tell me when to stop. Doesn't matter.
Stop.
All right, so we're going to pick this person.
What kind of problem could we solve?
All right, so we are going to pick that person, and we are going to now go ahead and run. Now, once we actually run it, it actually takes about, 3 to 5 seconds, depending on how much text you're going to try to generate, and you should hear
Good
that.
morning. We are selling ironing boards. How many do you want?
All right, so if you know that, yeah, Johnny, if that's the voice you like, we can go with it. For our brand, we can actually change it. Tell me what you want to change on this.
Well, so let me take a step back. So it just took the text that we just made up and it turned it into Mel Gibson from Braveheart.
Sure, but the best thing is we get to pick what's known as a style, and this style is key to our brand recognition because if you don't have a consistent brand for the voice, what's going to happen is you're going to sound like just random people talking. So by picking a consistent style, you then get to apply it to any type of conversation. So let's say, for example, you are in Ireland, right? You don't want an American accent speaking to advertise your product in Ireland. It would make sense. So you'd probably want to have an Irish or Scottish or some kind of accent from those regions. So does that make sense? Yeah, Johnny. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to get a
Style is
brand.
the accent.
Style is anything that you want to be able to portray in the actual converse in the actual message. So I could actually say I want him to be scared. Make the person be very scared.
Can we make him Jamaican and maybe give him a stutter?
Of course, let's say Jamaican with a stutter. All right, let's see. So that's going to generate the same exact thing. I should have changed rugged
Good
energy.
morning. We are selling ironing boards. How many do you want?
Oh, I still had the word Scottish accent here. Sorry. Jamaican accent. Let's try that. All right. So while we're actually doing this, yeah, Johnny. So what we're doing is we're sending this to making people real.
We are selling ironing boards. How many do you want?
I don't hear the stutter, but you know what? It's actually pretty good, yeah, Johnny. It's pretty good.
Bad stutter, but yeah, it'll still get the ironing board sold.
Definitely. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to show you that you need a brand identity and you have the ability to change the style and you have the ability to put any text you want. Now, the good thing is if you actually find a style that you want, make sure you save it and then you can actually use it with generating any type of voice that you want to keep everything consistent. All right, yeah, Jenny, let's get to the word of the day so we can actually wrap this part up.
All right, so the word of the day today is prosody. And what prosody means is it's the rhythm, the stress, and the intonation of speech. And a good analogy is like a musical melody of how humans speak.
Exactly. So like when we're working with like AI Studio, prosody is what separates the robotic GPS from our Scottish Highlander, right? So by adjusting the prompt and tuning the model, we're dictating the prosody of the output carried by the exact emotional weight we need for the brand. So when AI Johnny said, I want it to be Jamaican or I want to actually have a stutter, those are the things that you're trying to control to make them actually sound a little bit more emotionally connecting. All right, yeah, Jenny. So let's play around with this a little bit more. But before we actually play around with it, does anybody have any questions on what we're trying to do here and how you actually generate these cool voices? And you can practically do anything. We can change a bunch of things, and I'm going to show you how to change the temperature, which is what we actually want to show. Really, really interesting here. I love changing temperature on any AI model. Does anybody have any questions so far? All right. Yeah, Johnny. So first of all, I want to show you guys temperature. So many times I always say, temperature changes the creativity. All right. So we've heard 100 times. Let's actually stick with something simple that we actually know. So you are an American. All right. With a normal, let's call it New York accent. Yeah, Johnny.
New Jersey.
New Jersey. Oh man. New Jersey accent. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to just keep it simple and we're going to run this. And the reason why we're going to run this is I want to show you guys by adjusting the temperature, how different these voices are.
We are selling ironing boards. How many do you want?
All right. So if you notice, the voice sounds normal, nothing out of the ordinary. Now we actually, if I go on the left, if I actually go on the right, I'm sorry, if I go hit this button here, I have the ability to change the model I also have my project that I'm actually using. This is how you set up your pay-per-use, and you have the model setting here. You also have the speaker setting of which voice you want to use, but we're not going to change the voice because we showed you that already, but this is something I want to show you guys. There's something called temperature here. So remember how I mentioned in previous shows that temperature, the lower the temperature, the more structured and predictable it is, the higher the temperature, the more creative or more outside of its training data it actually gets. Yeah, Johnny, let's say, for example, we crank it up all the way to 2. What do you think is going to happen?
What are we cranking up? Are we cranking up the
Temperature.
style? Or are we cranking up the word? All right, the style.
We're cranking up temperature. So temperature, just for people to remember, temperature. So okay, let's back up a little bit. Let me actually go full screen because I wanna teach here for a second. So this is something that's almost never exposed to users. And the thing that's almost never exposed to users is the following. If I train a model, the model itself is trained upon a lot of data. Then what happens is the model statistically will always pick the statistically most likelihood thing that actually it's trained on. So my favorite example is, hey, Johnny, happy birthday to blank. What would you say?
You.
Good. Now, there are certain scenarios where the model may be trained on happy birthday, Mr. President, or there may be happy birthday, John, or happy birthday, Susie, or whatever. There may be variations, but what happens is if the model itself, the temperature is set to 0, what will happen is that model will always present with the value of happy birthday to you. It will never, ever, ever deviate from the statistical likelihood of generating you. That's if the temperature is 0. So the temperature is saying 0 is give me statistically what is most likely, which means that every single time you hit the generate button, it will always say you. Now, as you increase temperature closer to 1, it starts to deviate from the statistical likelihood of that value. So let's say, for example, I crank it up to 1. It will say 90% of the time or 95% of the time, it's going to say the word you, but 5% or 10% of the time, it may actually say Mr. President. Now, if you actually crank it up to say, for example, 2 or 200%, what may happen is that you get, it may not even say you, it may say, happy birthday to, Irish, Irish Prince XYZ. It might make up something. And that's where we get hallucinations from, is the deviation of its statistical likelihood of actually being able to present a value. Okay, so hopefully that kind of makes sense.
The likelihood of it saying you is 95%, and the other 5% is Mr. President, me, happy birthday to the world, whatever. There's a bunch of other things that fit into that 5%. And if there's no temperature, and if temperature wasn't even a consideration, when you asked it, it wouldn't always give you a U. It would give you the statistical likeliness of you, which means if you asked it 100 times, 5 of those times it would give you something different. But then
wait. So if the temperature, what are we setting the temperature to in the example of 90% you, 5% Mr. President, and 5% me? What was the temperature set to in your example?
Well, I'm stepping away from temperature for just a second to say, well, what is the real statistical probability that if somebody says happy birthday to, the next word is going to be you? It's not every single time, because I've heard it said differently. So if you look at the global data set of all times happy birthday to has been said, most of the time it's you, but not all of the time. So if I ask a large language model what comes next, ignoring all temperature, it might say you. It probably will say you. But if I ask it again, it probably will say you again. If I throw all the happy birthday twos followed by whatever was said into a bowl, and I reach into that bowl and I pick one out, it's probably going to be you. If I reach in again, I pick one out, it's probably going to be you. But if I reach in 1,000 times, one of those is going to be Mr. President or me or something else, regardless of temperature, correct?
So if you go into a bowl in the physical world, what's happening is you're putting your hand in the bowl and you're randomly taking out one out of 100 options. Neural models don't work like that. Neural models say, what is the statistical likelihood of the next token? And it looks at temperature and says, should I deviate? If the answer is I should never deviate, you will always be selected, because when it flattens out the data, it says 95% of the time it is you, throw out all the other values and always give you. So that's
So
what's
what
really.
does the temperature, what does the temperature need to be set at such that it will come back in similar or exact proximity to what occurs in the real world?
You can never get that because it's always based on training data. So example, if I only trained it on two values, you and Mr. President, and I gave it 50% you and 50% Mr. President, it believes that the world is 50% you and 50% Mr. President. So what will happen
And
is
that's
if I,
but that's a hallucination. That's not what the world is.
so
The minute
depend,
you stray from whatever the real world probabilities are, you're in hallucination. You're in hallucination land.
that's fair. I would say being able to have enough training data to model a real world is what you really want, but unfortunately you're not going to be able to get that. So there's a little fine tuning you do afterwards. But the point is, being able to adjust that temperature tells what you really, 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 really want to do. Do you want to stick to exact, or do you want to be a little creative? Right? That's really the
You know
difference.
me, I want variety, so I'm gonna pump that temperature up to jalapeno.
There you go. So Shauna says, I understand what you're saying here. Thanks for the clarification, AI Junior. I love it, Shauna. All right, so let's go ahead and listen to a variation of a temperature set all the way to 2. All right, so we're going to go ahead and go to temperature. So let's play again what this sounded like.
Good morning. We are selling ironing boards. How many do you want?
All right, so by pumping all the temperature all the way to 2, keeping everything the same, we're going to regenerate. And what's going to happen is it's going to deviate, have permission now to deviate
Good
very
morning.
far.
We are selling ironing boards. How many do you want?
That one didn't sound as different, so let's try again.
Good morning. We are selling ironing boards. How many do you want?
Yeah, so it actually sped up first and actually slowed down a little bit at the end. So it's subtle to hear, but you can hear it.
Good morning. We are selling ironing boards. How many do you want?
Yeah, so just to let you know, what's happening is what it's trained on is not sounding like what it was, what the output was. So it's very, very subtle, but if you actually listen closely, the voice itself deviated based on speed. It deviated based on little subtleties that you and I, if you're paying attention, you'll catch, but if you're not paying attention, you may not catch it really, really well.
I heard the subtle differences, and it's important to note that there are two things at play here. There is the wording, we are selling ironing boards, how many do you want? Which, by the way, that pitch needs a little work. But what we're changing the temperature on is not the wording, because the wording would change if you ranked up the temperature on wording. You're ranking up the temperature on the style, the tonality, the what's the word of the day?
Prosody.
You're changing the temperature of the prosody, correct?
That is correct. You're deviating from what the model's trying to predict how it should be sound. So it was trained on this person. So if I actually crank it down to practically 0, right, you're going to hear, this is exactly how the model was trained on this voice. All right, should be coming out any second now. While that's loading, yeah, Johnny, go ahead.
I would hope that if you turn the temperature all the way up to 100, that I would finally get my stutter.
Yeah, it may. This is actually taking a little bit longer. I'm going to hit stop and try it again. Yeah, Johnny. So the good thing is about temperature. Hey, Abdul, thanks for joining. We're talking about Solopreneur Systems today, and we're actually looking at temperature specifically for a TTS model. Yeah, Johnny. So while it's actually generating, it's actually longer than usually. Usually it takes about 2 to 3 seconds to generate. Maybe it can't actually.
What do you say we break it down and go through this, and if it comes back, we play it?
Definitely. Let's go to the deep dive.
We're going deep dive. So did we just go through the whole separation thing?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that afterwards. So let's actually go into the deep dive.
For the intermediate users, let's talk about the logic happening behind the scenes and the actual costs involved when you plug this into your website.
Exactly. All right. So first of all, guys, we actually spent a lot of time talking about temperature, and it's really important to understand this thing because most people who are actually interacting with AI don't even realize this is a thing. So the temperature itself, like I mentioned, allows you to actually maximize the variance and creativity. So if we move the number all the way down to 0, it's really highly predictable. It's going to be flat and it's the exact same voice every single time we run inference. If we crank it up to 1 or 2, the higher you can actually do it. Now, everybody they have different scales, right? People say if you set it to 100 is what is reasonable. If you set it to 75%, it doesn't really matter. Each model is different. But the higher you crank it, what happens is the creativity now kicks in. So it starts to deviate from that, what it was actually trained with. So lower temperature, predictable. Higher temperature, unpredictable. We call it creativity. Look at that. All right, yeah, Johnny, go ahead. What's the
All
next
right,
one?
so temperature, as we just saw, the temperature of 1 maximizes variance and creativity. If we pulled it down to 0, the thread would be highly predictable, flat, identical every time we ran the inference. I'd like to see you try this with the data being you can't handle the truth. That'd be fun. That'd be a fun thing to play with temperature on.
Yeah.
The pricing efficiency, because we are using the API, we pay based on usage. The Gemini 2.5 Flash Preview TTS is incredibly cheap. It's 50 cents for input and $10 for output. But if we need the ultimate quality, Gemini 2.5 Pro Preview jumps from $1 input to $20 output. I don't understand that, Junior. Is that for 1 million tokens or something?
Yeah, so let's actually explain this. So if you look on the right here, guys, so remember, this is a pay-per-use model, okay? So what you're seeing here is you're paying for every time you use it. So if you actually look here, this is the model Gemini 2.5 Pro Preview. And if I actually click on it, you'll see that I have access to all featured Gemini live images, video, audio, music, and Gemma. Okay. Now we're on the audio one here because this is the audio based show. It's a TTS show. And if you see the one that's actually selected, I have is Gemini 2.5 Pro. And you see here, all context lengths, $1, and this is always quoted in million tokens. So it's $1 for 1 million tokens input and $20 for 1 million tokens output. Now again, voice sounds a little bit differently, so this calculates a little bit different. It's not like a syllable or a text, but they actually generate based on tokens. If you look at Flash Preview TTS, it is 50 cents for 1 million tokens input, $10 for 1 million tokens output. Now, what's interesting is I want you guys to see this. Yeah, Johnny, can you see this date right here? We're actually doing breaking news here on the show. Do you see this here?
April 15th, 2026.
Yeah, so this model actually just dropped today. So Gemini 3.1 Flash text-to-speech preview just dropped today. So it's actually a really great show to actually drop. So the point is, when you're seeing those prices, they're for million inputs and million outputs. So that's the price, yeah, Johnny. Does that make sense?
We do these shows a month in advance. Are you saying it's a coincidence that we're teaching this thing on the exact same day the new model dropped?
Exactly. But we're using cheaper model just for now. We're not using more expensive model.
I don't believe in coincidences. That's a shout out to Thursday night.
Thursday night. That's Shauna's Bible study. All right. So if you actually look here, let's go see what else. So yeah, John, let's talk about grounding.
Grounding is my favorite thing of the entire list. By grounding the TTS model in our specific style instructions and keeping a strict eye on our temperature, we ensure the brand voice doesn't randomly change accents mid-paragraph or from ad to ad. The idea here, what we said at the beginning, is to come up with a brand voice for your solopreneurship. You've got your company, you've got your website, you've got your product, and now you need a voice. And that voice needs to remain consistent because what happens is that voice is part of the neuro association to your company. Your product neuro associates to your company, the colors on your website neuro associates to your company, but your brand voice does need to be specific, and grounding, once you've chosen a voice, is what makes that happen.
Exactly.
correct?
Exactly. All right. So the next thing, AI Johnny, let's actually go a little bit deeper.
Uh-oh. This is where AI Junior goes nerdy again. If you don't care about the back end, sit back and enjoy the ride. Junior, technically, what really happens if I want to integrate this audio directly into my application's code?
All right, so I know we actually have at least a couple of developers on the call. Hey, Abdul, thanks for joining again. Adrian, thanks for joining. So check this out, guys. So anytime you're actually talking with a TTS model, right? You don't just paste recording syllables together, right? So I know if you guys remember the old GPS type of sound, they sounded very robotic, right? But what happens is if you actually look at how these TTS models are working, they're actually doing a neural network to predict the acoustic prosody features of the text to generate continuous fluid waveforms completely from scratch. So all your audio doesn't sound robotic. And the thing is, every single time you generate the audio, it's going to sound different. And the reason why it sounds different is because it has that randomness, which the human voice actually doesn't sound the same exact thing over and over and over. We make mistakes. We actually pause. We actually have different words that because we get tongue tied. So all those things itself contributes to sounding human. The AI itself does also those things as well to sound non-robotic, right? The next thing that's actually really important that I want you guys to understand is that it's actually using a diffusion model. So many of these audio systems itself are using a diffusion model itself to refine static noise into high fidelity speech over multiple steps. So think of starting with a very, very, very staticky sound, just like staticky picture, and then over time it just keeps refining it to try to see, does it sound like it actually makes sense based on the actual neural pathway that's actually taking. And because all this is happening really, really fast, you can generate all your audio with low latency really, really quickly, right? So I know the one that we showed that for some reason, it took a little bit longer, but almost all of them are going to take about 2 to 3 seconds. And they do have a live model that you guys can actually use to be able to generate much faster audio if you want. So there's a live option if you guys want. It's a little bit more expensive, but you have the ability to go live if you wanted to. All right, yeah, Johnny, how many people fell asleep?
I think your latency was high. You did good.
There you go. Thanks, Johnny. All right, let's talk about some key takeaways.
All right. Well, first, I would like to do a quick ethical reminder. Always be ethical. Do not use voice cloning or generative audio to impersonate people without their consent. Deepfakes ruin trust and companies. But now, how do you use this creatively? Here are some ways that you can use this in an ethical format. One, you can generate unlimited dynamic audio ads for social media in varying accents. Well, that's interesting. It flies in the face of having a consistent voice, but I get it, right? You're hearing the same message in different voices. I could see where that would be entertaining.
Yeah, so Johnny, let's elaborate on this one. So what happens is, I did not know this. I learned this, I would say, maybe 20 years ago, and it actually blew my mind. When I actually, worked with my coworkers, I would take for granted going to McDonald's, right? And you go to McDonald's and you expect that the McDonald's is going to serve you the exact same burger everywhere in the world. So if I walk into a McDonald's in Canada, I expect it to be exactly the same as the menu I have here. That's the purpose of having a franchise and being able to, buy consistency. But what happens is when I was talking to my colleagues over in India, they actually do not have the traditional burgers that we would have here. They mostly have chicken or vegetarian burgers. So what happens is McDonald's in India is actually tailored for that culture and that society, which means the brand of McDonald's in India is specific to the Indian market, which is the same thing if you were to go to the McDonald's in Japan, if you go to the McDonald's in any other region, they put their own cultural flavor and spin on it. What that means is that when you have your own brand voice, you may want to have the same exact voice person, but with different accents to at least feel to be relatable when you're selling something or when you're doing something, to be localized. So it's very clear that you're part of the actual culture. Does that make sense?
It does. So it's a step above translation from language to language. You're not only translating into the new language or staying in the certain language, but you're actually hitting the dialect that's going to resonate with the people that you're hopefully going to have buy your product.
Exactly.
That's badass. Okay, here's another one. You can use the master storyteller template to turn your blog into an engaging podcast. So if you have text, you can actually turn it into a podcast, and you can have that podcast in the proper dialect for the people that are your audience.
Yep.
And finally, you can create a personalized welcome audio message for new clients. Again, customized for who you think that new client is and what you think they'd want to hear. Junior, what are the techie ways that you can use this tool?
All right, so guys, I love this part of having access to all these tools. Now, guys, Gemini is actually our large language model of the institute here, and the reason why I love these models is like, look at what you have access to. Right, you have access to music, which we're gonna talk about. So we talked about Lyria when it came out, but Lyria, you actually have access now to generate beyond 30 seconds. So they came out of beta, and you have access to be able to generate a song. Now, look how cheap this is. You have the ability to generate output at 8 cents per request, right? So you can generate a brand new song for 8 cents. Now, I know 8 cents may actually sound expensive if you're actually doing thousands of them, but imagine it be able to generate a song with only about 8 cents, right? Before you couldn't have access. Now, if you actually are familiar with all these models, you get API access to be built into your SaaS product to read dashboards. So things like if you're say for example an application developer and you want to be able to say, hey, visually impaired users, they won't be able to read your application because they are visually impaired. Why not stream it as audio to them? Why not say, hey, I want to use Lyria to actually generate a song based on that? What if, say for example, they're a visual learner, being able to hook it up and give people who are visual learners different an image, an infographic to see the data, right? So that's a really, really important part of what Google's actually doing here. The next thing is you can actually build an interactive phone tree for everyday assistance. So if, say, for example, you've heard those, press 1 for English, press 2 for Spanish. If you want to speak to customer service, do all those things. You can create a phone tree that actually does that for you, and you can change it up on the fly depending on how the person is actually feeling frustrated. So you may want to prioritize support instead of waiting for them to listen to press 9 for support, or a combination of 6, 5, 3, 2, 2, 1, 4 to actually get to support, which is almost impossible nowadays. You can do that. And the last thing is the model itself. The Flash models are super cheap, so you can use them for mass generation to save on overhead costs. So definitely look into these models if you actually are thinking of creative use cases.
Partner, even 8,000 cents wouldn't break my bank.
I love it, yeah, Johnny. All right, guys, now it's time.
Take some questions from the chat.
Definitely. Does anybody have any questions? We're going to go over to Zoom first. If you're on the live stream, we actually want to queue up those questions. There's about a 30-second delay, so keep them coming in. Does anybody have any questions, especially on, what these models and anything in Google AI Studio? If anything you guys want to talk about, want to see more of specifically, let's actually talk about it.
I've got a question from BizBuilder.
Sure.
Do I have to know how to use? No. Do I need to know how to code to use Google AI Studio?
So not at all. So Google AI Studio, they've done a really good job of, I'll harp on this a little bit. Google has done a great job in terms of trying to get non-technical people to use AI. So we've actually introduced quite a few tools that Google has done a really good job of, trying to be able to, whether you want to learn a language or you want to be able to code or whatever you want to do, they're trying to bring all these tools into the masses. No, it's a little scary and daunting if you've never done these things before, but I have seen the growth of so many people that we're actually teaching of never had the ability to interact with Flow and be able to generate videos and generate images and talk to the AI. All those things, we're seeing progress based on non-technical people getting access to these things. A text-to-speech model, I can almost guarantee you that nobody is using a text-to-speech model in terms of regular or normal use, right? They're not saying, give me audio for this. They're probably using it, just chat GPT or just talking to it. But if you actually get into your tool set and say, hey, I want to be able to generate audio, you actually now can put audio on your YouTube videos. You could put audio in your applications. You can put audio on your, to read a narration, and you're now consistent. And that builds a brand. So the thing is, these tools itself are not required for developers or technical people to learn. So definitely give it a try. I recommend it 100%.
Gee, that's too bad. As a longtime coder, it's unfortunate that people don't need to have to code anymore, isn't it?
Yeah, and a plug for today. If you guys are stuck and you need help with any of your AI projects, or you need pointers, we do have AI office hours every Wednesday from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern time every single Wednesday. And if you're a pro member itself, you get access to that. Because you're a pro member, you get access to that. You get access to AI Johnny and myself to be able to help you with your AI projects. All right, AI Johnny. Hopefully, I answered the question.
Yeah, I've got a question. It looks like it's a money related question. If I have a massive script, which model should I choose from the pricing list?
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? So this is what I want everybody to understand is that every single model that you interact with, you can get either, just like if you go to, a place that sells food, they usually have small, medium, or large, right? So all these large language models, they give you choices. The choices are typically small, medium, large. If you're price sensitive, always go with the small, right? If you want quality and you're willing to pay a little bit more for it, you go for the large. So what that means is that if you're never sure about doing something, always do it on the cheapest model first. And if you actually have a little bit of money to spend and go to the higher tier, go to the higher tier because the quality is actually much better. So, long story short, always pick based on your comfort level and depend on what you can afford. So try the cheapest one first.
Hey, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So I use Flow a lot, and one of the big challenges that people who use Flow to make videos with voices is it does a really great job of making the video. It does a really good job of picking the voice. It does a really good job of lip syncing the words to the voice. But what it doesn't do a good job is if you're making lots and lots of videos and stitching them together, keeping the voice consistent from 8-second video to 8-second video to 8-second video. Will this help?
So AI Johnny, let me actually bring over Flow. And it's funny you should actually ask that. So let's just go into Flow and let's just go into a new project. And if you're going to flow into a new project, about 2 weeks ago itself or so, Google announced a new feature that you're able to actually attach to a video. So we're going to go ahead and go in ingredients. We're going to go ahead and attach. And I'm not sure if you guys can see. Let me make it a little bit bigger. Can you guys see this? So I can actually upload an image, and then there is actually a voice here. So I can actually say, I want this character to speak with one speaker, one image, and I can actually pick this voice. I made it bigger for you guys to see. Match voice to visuals. So we're going to pair the voice, but I can actually see, let me zoom out because I want you guys to see it. I can say, no, I don't want this voice. I want to pick the voice. And I can actually pick, let me zoom out a little bit. So I can actually pick different voices here. So I can actually pick Archiner. I know it's a little bit small, but I can pick.
What idea do you want to bring to life?
Right? I can pick Acrid.
What sparks your interest?
Yeah.
And
I can
stay with that voice the entire time. Whichever voice I choose, I just choose that same voice for every, that same image and that same voice for every 8-second clip that I'm creating.
Correct. So what you can do is you can say, I want one speaker to one image, and I can attach my image and then go ahead and pick the voice. You don't get to choose the style just yet. I'm sure that's going to come in a later upgrade. But right now you can actually be consistent with the actual voice. So great question on that, AI Johnny. AI Johnny, let's actually move on to the news.
Literally today, April 15th, Google just dropped the brand new Gemini 3.1 Flash TTS preview model. It is live in Google AI Studio right now, hosting powerful low latency generation, highly steerable prompts, and brand new expressive audio tags for precise narration control, and sitting at $1 for input and $20 for output. So that's big news.
Yep.
An AI agent just opened a physical retail store. In what feels like a massive leap towards functional AGI, a startup called Andon Labs just dropped an AI agent named Luna into a real retail space in San Francisco. The setup, the agent was given a 3-year license, a $100,000 budget, a credit card, and total autonomy with a single directive: turn a profit. The tech, Luna is running on Claude Sonnet 4.6 for reasoning and Gemini 3.1 flashlight for voice, using security camera screenshots to see the store. Can't wait to hear from Luna. And the wild part, it actually created the boutique concept, posted job listings, and interviewed human candidates over Zoom with their camera off to hire staff.
It's pretty impressive.
And Anthromic's behemoth, Anthromic unveiled Claude Mythos 5, a staggering 10 trillion parameter model focused heavily on cybersecurity and complex coding. It's about time when they did that. They also shipped full computer years for Claude, allowing the agent to natively browse, click, and run tasks on local machines. It just keeps going and going. You know,
Yep.
I don't know about you, but right now after the show, I'm heading home into AI Studio to make a Scottish game show host narrate my voicemail greetings. So join us tomorrow where we dive into the expressive face using Hedra to make static images talk with perfect lip sync. AI Junior, what say you with whatever voice you want?
Yeah, thank you guys all for joining. Sign up for a free account and RSVP to all our shows and get reminders at www.airheadinstitute.ai. Support us by becoming a paid member. And since, again, today is Wednesday, don't forget about Airhead After School or Airhead AI Office Hours today between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern for all our pro members. Catch you guys later. Bye.
That wraps up today's AI Power Up. If you joined late or you're new here, welcome to Airhead Institute. This is your daily destination for mastering artificial intelligence. We designed this lineup for everyone, whether you're a technical pro looking to upskill or you just want to chill and learn something new on your lunch break, we've got you covered. Our classes evolve every single month, so you're always on the cutting edge. And the best part? It's totally free to join. Once you're in, you can get live tips on your AI projects in our AI office hours and even enroll your kids in our Airhead After School program. Scan the QR code to join the community right now and make sure to like and subscribe at Airhead Institute on all socials. Guided by your hosts AI Junior and AI Johnny, we're here to help you win. Remember, AI won't take your job, but someone who knows how to use AI will. Don't get left behind. We'll see you next class. Bring a friend.